Connor Boyack runs the Libertas Institute in Utah, which is a public policy think tank there, and now he is beginning a series of children's books that will convey the message and principles of liberty. Connor Boyack, welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me again, Tom. I appreciate it.
I had to have you on because you have done something that many, many parents have wanted me to do, wanted somebody to do, and you're in the process of bringing the liberty message to a younger audience. I get emails all the time asking, what can my fourth grader read? What can my fifth grader, my third grader? And my answer is, I don't know, nothing. I mean, I really don't know. And now you've come along and changed that. So let's start off, first of all, before talking about your book, let's start talking about Frederick Bastiat's book, The Law, because that's really the cornerstone of all this. What's the central point in that book, The Law? When did that book come out?
It was written in 1850 in France.
So it's a long time ago, and yet libertarians read and swear by this book, and it's a tiny little book. Even an American adult could sit down and read it. So what's the...
With a short attention span.
That's right. He's got a bunch of points in there, but there's probably one central point, his major thesis, that people walk away with when they read it. What is that?
The main one that I focus on is legal plunder, this notion that things that are wrong for us to do individually do not become right just because someone in the government is doing it. If it's wrong for you or I to do, if we can't steal someone's property, we can't empower a government agent to do it on our behalf. I think there are lots of actual concurrent themes, but that's the one that I like to focus on the most.
Yeah, and I think that is the major theme, and especially his overall point about the law, which is that if the law is not something universal and that applies equally and in the same respect to everybody, then the law has been corrupted. It's not the real law.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then legal plunder is a subset of that. Because that's an example of the government being able to do one thing, and we can't do that same thing, so it can't be the law.
This book, you can sit down and read it in an hour and a half. You can find it for free online. Our institute, Libertas Institute, we're out of Utah. We've printed over 10,000 of them. We sell them at cost for $1 on our website, libertasutah.org. I've found it through the years a very effective tool for persuading people to, first understand liberty, but then become its champion. It played an instrumental role, this book, in my own educational development years ago. The fact that it's so small, and it's a fun read, right? It's not any of this dry, boring crap that you often get from libertarian circles. This is a fun book. Frederick Bastiat has a really fun personality. I mean, I really wish we had even more of his writings and more biographies and things like that, because his mind is very sharp and he's a witty guy. So it's a fun book to read. And the problem, as you noted a moment ago, is, I use that book as kind of a missionary tool for liberty.
What's the age range that you think your book, which is, you're doing a series, I presume, in the Tuttle Twins series. So this one is the Tuttle Twins Learn About the Law. What are you aiming at in terms of age range?
We've tested this and feel good about the age range of 6 to 10 years old. And I kind of have to qualify that. We've had even 4 and 5-year-olds who have liked the book because our book is 62 pages long. It's full of fun, colorful illustrations. So even if the subject matter is a little bit above, or even the reading ability or comprehension is a little above a 5-year-old, or even, some of the more advanced 4-year-olds, they're liking it because of the story and the characters and the colors and the drawing. And then while our range is 6 to 10, we've even had 11, 12, and 13-year-olds who like it because it's maybe below their level in terms of being too childish, but the material inside, the ideas are fresh. They're not getting it in school. And so in all the test readings that we've done, we found that they're still willing to kind of read this more childish book, even though they're outside or above that age range, because they don't learn about this stuff anywhere else. And so you're right. This will be a series of books. Think of, Berenstain Bears or Amelia Bedelia, right, where each book is a different concept. And so my kids love Berenstain Bears, and in one they learn about hygiene, and another one they learn about the golden rule, and they teach a value in each book. And that's kind of the approach that we're taking. There's 2 characters, Ethan and Emily Tuttle. They're 9-year-old twins. And just through the stories that we share, through, them being in class or them going to the grocery store or them being on the playground, they're going to learn throughout the series of books, in each book, a different principle of liberty. So this first book is essentially a children's version of the law. And so we take the same core concepts that are in Boyack's book and we distill them down, wrap them in a fun story. Just real quick, for example, what happens in this book is the kids are talking to their neighbor, and their neighbor grows a garden. And he's like, I've got this other neighbor who loves my tomatoes. Whenever I take them to her, she just loves them. Would you think it would be okay for her to come and steal them from me? And the kids are like, obviously, no, that's horrible. No way. And then the guy says, well, I know you guys have an uncle who's a police officer, right? He's part of this government. If he came and took the tomatoes to go give to that neighbor, would that be okay? And the kids are like, trick question. No, I think that's not okay. And so he kind of reaffirms to these kids that there are things that are right and wrong, and just because someone has a badge or someone's part of the government, if it's wrong for you and I to do, it's wrong for anyone to do. And so there are various kind of stories and scenarios in the book that reaffirm this plunder and legal plunder. Of course, because we're talking about plunder, there's a pirate character in the book, and we kind of make it really fun for the kids. What I found, which is kind of funny, is that this stuff is common sense for kids. I mean, especially the younger kids who haven't been indoctrinated in the system and haven't been made to, compromise their moral system. It's actually very simple. Of course it's wrong to steal. Of course you don't make exceptions to that. And so we're not really bringing anything revelatory to kids. A lot of it's just common sense ideas that really kids already get. We're just trying to reaffirm them. We're trying to kind of, help them justify in their minds and give them this foundation of morality, even in politics, to say there are things that are right and wrong. And it applies to all these different issues. And so in the book, we kind of step them through a few fun ideas and show them how it might apply. But so that's the first book. Other books, for example, the kids might be in a playground and there's a bully. And so they learn about the non-aggression principle, right? It's okay to defend yourself, but it's wrong to be the bully. And so we'll use a few examples there, and we've taught the non-aggression principle to a 6-year-old. The characters might be in a grocery store, and they're with their mom, and they're Mom, why are there 15 bags of potato chips? And so the mom maybe shares a story about her great-grandfather growing up in war-torn Eastern Europe and how they barely had bread. And so she's teaching prosperity and abundance through capitalism. Another book that we've got planned is a children's version of iPencil, where the kids learn about something as silly as a pencil. They go to a manufacturing plant, like on a field trip, and they see how elaborate the process is. They're learning about division of labor. And so a lot of these different aspects and ideas of liberty will throw each one into a book and then end up with a whole series where a parent could take their 6-year-old, buy them the set, and off they go. They get a really core, solid foundation of liberty at a young age. We're trying to give parents who believe in these ideas a resource so that they can start a conversation with their kids. And so that their kids kind of have a foundation against which they can test things, right? So if they see a news story or hear a teacher say something in school, they have more of a foundation against which they can say, well, I learned this, and I think that might not be wrong. But without these books and without parents proactively trying to explain what they believe in very simplistic terms, as you said, there's really not been a lot of resources that we've had as parents. And so as we got into this a year ago and started planning it and doing all the behind-the-scenes and initial stuff before we actually started writing the book and getting involved in that, we were doing market research. What's out there? Is there anything? Who would be our competition? And I was amazed that there was a huge void in the marketplace. So we're excited to fill that void. We're excited. I mean, we've had people from all over the country already doing pre-orders. For listeners, I don't think I've mentioned it yet. Where you can get it is TuttleTwins.com, and Tuttle is spelled Tuttle, TuttleTwins.com. You can pay in Bitcoin, so if anyone has crypto, you can pay that way, or with a credit card or PayPal account. So we've had these things flying in already, these orders, and I'm just excited. It's a fun project for me to do as a father, for my own kids, and they're excited. I hope your listeners are excited. This, I think, is a huge void in the market. And again, more generally, as we look at Ron Paul homeschool and what you are doing as part of that, I think there's a larger movement afoot to take our message to the rising generation. So we're excited to be a part of that.